Welcome to another tutorial on Adobe Lightroom Classic. In this tutorial, we're going to dig into the Develop module and start developing our photos. So I'm going to pick a photo here to develop. I'm going to click this one of my two, right? And you should take all of your 2-star rated photos and develop, do them one at a time. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to hit D for develop. First thing we're going to do is we're going to straighten our image, straighten our horizon, and crop our image, okay? So if we look right here, this little kind of dotted square, if I turn that on, that's the crop and straighten tool. And what we're looking at here, by default, there is a rule of thirds overlay. And we're going to learn about rule of thirds in composition, but essentially we're typically looking for something at an intersecting point like that, or that, somewhere of visual interest. Now right now it's rule of thirds, but if I hit the O key on the keyboard, I can cycle through other overlay options. And these are just different ways to find interesting intersecting points where you might want to put the visual interest of your photo. This one is the golden ratio. This crops it to can help you crop it to a specific size, 2x3, 5x7, 4x5. And this one with the small grids, where I find this one useful is if I have this turned on and I have these grids, it just helps me see how things are lined up. I can come outside of my image and see how my cursor's now kind of two curved arrows. I can click and drag and I can rotate a little bit to kind of straighten my image. If this were a landscape photo and we had a horizon, like the horizon line for the sky, horizon line for the beach, I'm going to look to make sure that your photos are straight, especially landscapes. No crooked horizons. So you'd click this ruler right here, and this one technically we don't have a horizon, but I'm gonna pretend that this metal bar is the horizon. And I'm going to click and drag along the horizon, and you can see it tilted my photo and made that straight. And I actually like what it did, so I'm gonna keep it just like that. And I'd hit return, and it sets the crop, right? Command Z, I can undo if I don't like it. I'm going to come back into the crop tool, and O for overlay, I'm going to go back to rule of thirds. Right now, because our photo is portrait landscape, which is taller rather than wider, our overlay is set to portrait, tall rather than wide. But sometimes you might shoot something in portrait mode and want to crop it in landscape mode. So I'm going to hit X, and now you can see that it just rotated my crop, and I can kind of come up like that, and if I wanted to I could crop the picture like that, and X to go back. Now when I go back, you notice that it is a lot smaller because it's not as wide. All I need to do is drag it back out. You can see I can drag it to kind of fit from there. Other options under crop, right now, original aspect ratio, we can choose 1:1, and it gives us a 1:1, kind of like the original Instagram aspect ratio. We have 8:10, like a traditional portrait, and I might do something like that to be a traditional portrait. And there are other presets. In a future tutorial, we're going to create a custom preset for exporting to current Instagram sizes. I'm going to go with 4:6, and I'm going to hold that, bring it down, and I want to get her eye roughly on that intersecting point. It's not going to be perfect, but something like that. I'm going to crop in a little bit. Maybe that's too much because it's cropping off his hand. So I'm going to come back up and just get his hand like that, come back up, hit return, and now I've cropped. So some photos you might crop a whole lot to really get into something interesting from what's otherwise a mediocre photo. Other times you might use the crop tool to get a specific aspect ratio, to rotate your photo a little bit, or to correct the horizon. So first step before you do anything else, crop your images to what you want.